What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another About Teams video. In today's edition, is going to be recapping the NHL playoffs this past weekend. We obviously had a lot of good games. It was high competitive hockey. And Nick, no Pastrnak jersey today, despite getting a power play goal to set things up. As the Bruins fan, I'll let you speak more on this, but I think two things can be true at once. I'll say this about yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm.
That goal should have been taken away. I think it was a push, but I still think Florida deserved to win. I think they were just the better team. They've been the better team, frankly. Mm-hmm. Maybe game one you could have said Bruins because of the score, but Florida's been faster. They've been more aggressive. I mean, they've just been playing, I think, the better hockey all three games. Bruins have had, I don't know if it's the last three games, 20 shots and under.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fans were chanting, shoot the puck at the end of last game. I think Florida's just proven they're built for playoff hockey. Stars like Matthew Tkachuk, they like to get in greasy, grimy goals. And obviously we saw Florida. It was a much closer game yesterday. I think Bruins brought the physicality, at least for a majority of it, took that 2-0 lead. But obviously we saw Florida was able to come back and tie it with that controversial goal. And then Alexander Barkov made a great play, saving the puck, dribbling behind the defense and shooting and scoring. But I think I don't see how the Bruins come back from this. We saw Florida come back from 3-1. But I feel like Florida's just proven to me, at least through 3.5 games, that they've just been the more physical, aggressive team shooting, and they've just been the more skilled.
Yep. If I go on a little rant here, you can stop me.
No, go.
Going into the series, I kept my expectations level. I didn't dwell on the past. I didn't dwell on the whole 3-1. Where, oh no, we're going to get smoked. I didn't also dwell on the fact that we went 4-0 against them in the regular season. I didn't care about that. Regular season doesn't matter when the Bullets are live. Game one, the Bruins came out hot. We all saw it. Tkachuk scored early, but the Bruins answered beautifully with 5 goals. And I thought, okay, this team's going to fight. They're not just going to cower in the corner like they did the last 2 or 3 games last year. Florida punched back like everyone probably expected at home. They're going to defend home ice. They're not going to go down 2-0 on their home ice as a top team in the league. But coming back to Boston, I expected the Bruins to punch back again. And I'll just say the only word to put it is just pure disappointment. It was pathetic. 6-2. It was a 6-2 loss. You kind of pushed back. You went down 4-0. You kind of pushed back at the very end. Jake DeBrusk missed like pretty much a wide open net. He hit the top post. I think it was like 4 minutes to go, but they were on the power play. Really.
Would that have made it 4-3?
It would have made it 4-3, and you really would have been having them have their backs up against the wall, and that really could have flipped the series. I know coming back down 4 goals is almost impossible, especially
unless you're playing the Dallas Stars.
Unless you're playing the Stars, but we're not. We're playing the Florida Panthers, who are, as you just said, built for the playoffs. They have been built for the playoffs. Even last year, when they went down 3-1, even last year when they were the last team into the playoffs, they got in on like the last day, snuck in as a wild card team. They are the epitome of of what you want in a playoff hockey team. They are fast. They are physical. They defend extremely well in the neutral zone and in their own defensive end. That's a big reason why the Bruins can't get shots off. And another thing that doesn't really go on the stat sheet, they get under your effing skin. Yeah. The Bruins cannot stay out of the penalty box because they're constantly trying to retaliate. They're constantly trying to make a big play or a big hit after Florida lights one of our guys up because they're too soft to skate the puck around or to just eat a hit. They can't just like it's. I'm going off on a tangent here, but just
No, cook up. This is your team.
The Bruins are just they're soft. They're soft, man. Like they have one goal scorer who, if he starts getting banged around, he's not gonna shoot the puck. He doesn't want to get hit. Pasternak's not a Kachuk where he doesn't mind taking the hits to score a gritty, dirty goal around the net, like you just said. He's a sniper guy who wants his open ice, who wants lanes to shoot.
No.
The one guy they maybe had a little bit of grit from is hurt now because he got smoked in Brad Marchand. He got smoked by Sam Bennett very early on in that game 3. They're dead. Like, they're dead. And it's the worst part about it is all these stats reflect in an L on Swayman, and I think he is the last person on the list that deserves to be blamed for the losses. Like,
he played excellent yesterday, in my opinion, because I was able to watch for most of this game.
I mean, the Bruins put up, what did they put up? 18 shots?
Yeah.
18 shots. Two shots in the last period. Two shots.
That, and they came in like the final minute.
Yep.
I think like I said, game two, they put up only like 15 through like 90% of it. Game 3, they put up no shots compared to Florida. They just haven't been shooting.
Their first goal in game 3 was their 10th shot. So, like, it's kind of
that was what, third period? Like midway through third?
Yep, like the middle of the third period. So, like we talked about with the other series, imagine what could happen if you started putting shots on goal. Like, imagine you have talented guys, but as much as I'm ripping on the Bruins, I got to give Florida their flowers because they're an incredible team, an incredibly structured defense that are obviously built to beat the Bruins. So,
yeah, it's very I'm kind of like just learning because I just started watching hockey a couple of years ago. I'm kind of like learning the ropes of like what truly is playoff hockey because if we go back to Florida like 2 years ago, best record in the league, and I thought that team was winning the cup with that top line of Huberdeau, Barkov, just a great regular. That's a regular season team though. That wasn't a team built for like a deep playoff run. And when I thought of the Kachuk-Huberdeau trade, I thought Calgary won the trade at first. I was like, they're getting a 115-point guy, a defenseman in Uyghur, and a first-round pick. But Kachuk has just proven me wrong. I mean, I knew he's a great player, but he is so good, and he's good in the regular. He's the definition of good in the regular season, and better in the playoffs. Superstar. He's always in the front of the net looking for those greasy rebounds, and that's what Florida's been able to do. Regardless if you think that was a push off, Bennett was there. It was a rebound on the second part. I don't want to diss the Bruins. I just think Florida's. I don't even think I can diss the Bruins. I think this is the definition of like not as much of a Rangers Capitals, but it feels like Florida's just the better team.
You just run into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, and they've just ran into a team that made it to the finals last year. They had an even better regular season, but it wasn't like a fluke regular season, like where they score the pretty goals, but don't really like the greasy goals. They're built great, like you talked about, great neutral zone defense. This team's built for it. They got the size, they got the heart, they got the skill, they got the speed. I don't see how the Bruins come back from this, but we kind of both are on that page.
Disappointing. Going into the year, there was parts of me that expected them to, because we've seen it the past 2 years, I think, where the President's Trophy winner lost in the first round the year before, then the year after went to the Cup final. So I was kind of, it happened with the Lightning, and then it happened with the Panthers last year.
Yeah.
Or not last year. Well, yeah, if like you round them up, but
yeah.
But I was maybe a part of me was hoping history would repeat in that sense. I kind of knew this team, obviously record-wise and just personnel-wise, wasn't nearly as good as it was last year. You lost your leader in Bergeron, who's you're missing him so much on these face-offs. Like all these face-offs.
Yeah, that's a huge thing in the playoffs. Power
exactly.
plays.
Yep.
So it sucks.
It's just rough. It's rough to watch. Like,
Yeah, we can talk about it more too once the season's officially over, whether that be Game 5, maybe Boston forces Game 6. We'll see how it goes. But
and also I do want to add one more thing.
all right.
For the Bruins, for Bruins fans, I mean, Bruins fans show up no matter what. They'll be at the Garden. They'll pack the Garden, no matter how good or bad. And so when they make the playoffs, they light that building up. I've been lucky enough to attend a playoff game back in 2019, and that place is bumping like no other. And the fact that the Bruins constantly piss away these games on home ice in the playoffs is a joke. And it needs to be something that is fixed, because we see so many teams in the playoffs defend their home ice like their lives depend on it, like their season is going to end if they don't do it. And the Bruins never do it. They always fold in front of home ice. It's really been a theme since they lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals back in 2019. They kind of haven't been able to shake that, I think. They did it against, even in 2013, they did it against Chicago, where they blew a 2-1 lead with a minute left in the game. It's piss poor. It's maybe there's a curse. Who the hell knows? I mean, maybe I'll start looking at divine gods to blame for why the Bruins can't win these big games. But that's what I want to get in, is you have to play better at home.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I think they fed off to the crowd early. I think even though they weren't as skilled, they were playing physical. But I think pretty much after they went up 2-0, they kind of took their foot off the gas. Bobrovsky made a great save to prevent it from 3-0. But, yeah, I just don't see it. I think Florida's got it. I think they're better in most areas.
They are.
It's disappointing when you, especially when the first game, and you beat them during the regular season. You just don't have this recipe. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here this off season. Even though the season's not officially over.
Changes need to be made, personnel wise. Maybe I don't think Jim Montgomery deserves to be fired. I don't think he's not the one out there that's putting up 10 shots a game. He's
They need to change up some personnel things for sure. With that being said, obviously, Boston born for me, and I know you. That was going to be most of our time spent on this, but I want to give a shout out to the other series. I don't think they've gone as deep, but I mean, Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, that's a great series. Even though the score says 4-1, 2 empty netters from Dallas. It was a very competitive game. Jake Onger, I feel like, struggled at the beginning of the series in who they play? Vegas. But he balled out last game. And like I said, for Dallas, it's going to be, if you stop that top line, you're going to win this series. You're just more deep than the Colorado Avalanche. And they did a pretty good job stopping that line. Because if you're able to hold Nathan McKinnon to even no goals, even if he gets 1 assist, you'll take that.
In Colorado too. He's been incredible at home.
Yeah, it's going to be a great series, though. I expect the Avalanche to give it their all in game in this game, because you're on the verge of going down 3-1 back to Dallas. You don't want that. That's been a great series, and I know will be. Do you have anything you want to add to that series, or
no? I think it'll go deeper than what the scoreboard showed last game. Like you said, it was 4-1, but Colorado's going to battle. I think do they play tonight or tomorrow?
I believe it's when is it? It's tonight. So
we'll tonight. I think
critical game 4 in Colorado.
I think Colorado defends home ice. I can see them taking it 2-2 back.
I hope not. Need my Stars Stanley Cup prediction come true.
Yeah.
But that'll be a great game. New York, Carolina. New York took Game 3 in Carolina. Sorry, I don't know. Colorado stuck on that. Carolina was able to hold off elimination. I didn't really take too much away from it. They came out hotter. New York was able to battle back, but Carolina was able to finally win a close game. But we head back to New York for Game 5 tonight. I expect the Rangers to win. If they don't, and Carolina somehow, takes us back to Raleigh, I think we could talk about, okay, like what's like, is there a potential 3-0 comeback? But New York let one slip, but I'm not worried. I think they got this series on locks. I think it ends tonight, especially with Carolina's goaltending questions. I just don't see how they're able to win with New York. All the momentum they've developed this series, win the first three. It'd be super tough, but it'd be super impressive if Carolina came back from 3-0.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I'm leaning like 80% towards New York closing it out at home. But my thing is, if that 20% kicks in and Carolina steals it in New York, then you're kind of
then
that's
it's all
the
hands on
shit.
deck. You're back to Raleigh, and then if
Yep.
they can win that, anything happens in a Game 7. Yeah,
And
so this
that's
is a
the
crucial game, even though it is only Game 5.
It's a big game for the Rangers either way because
You want as much
the first round was kind of like a throwaway against the Capitals who barely got in. Really shouldn't have been there, in my opinion. I think there was other teams that missed out that were better, but this is a huge game for New York, even up 3-1, because you need to be able to prove to yourselves that you can close out a good team at home in an elimination game. You need to be able to prove that because speaking from experience, sorry to go back to the Bruins, but they did not prove that this year until Game 7 against Toronto and last year. So if you're up against a good team at home, you need to be able to show not only to everybody else, but to yourself that you can close this out. You have, your goalie who's been on fire in these playoffs. You've been playing great in front of the home crowd. I think they're undefeated at home, right?
Yeah, Rangers so far this play.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a big game. And if you do lose, that's a huge boost for Carolina too. So you got
if I'm the Rangers, you want as much rest for the next round, which Florida will probably end in 5 as well, but you never know. But if you're the Rangers and you lose, now we have to go back to Raleigh and playing that home crowd. We've lost 2 in a row. It definitely, this is a huge game, obviously, not just because it's Carolina season, but if Carolina wins this, I think it goes 7 at least. And in Game 7, New York will be at home, but who knows what happens from there because it's Game 7. But yeah, should be an exciting one tonight. I know Carolina's not going to go out easy. They're obviously a really skilled team, and before entering the series, they were Stanley Cup favorites, despite not having as good of a record as the Rangers. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams respond.
Yeah.
With that being said, we got one more series, the Canucks-Oilers. Been a great series. I know you picked Oilers in 7. I picked Canucks in 7. #believe Vancouver. I think the series hasn't shown me anything for why it won't go 7. It's just been a battle. But credit to Vancouver. The goaltending has held up. If you can hold them to 3 or under, you're just so deep. You're going to get some goals. I think it's just going to be a battle, and that's all we've seen throughout the first 3 games. Vancouver's been able to hold their own on the defensive end. Brock Besser's been a huge uplift in the series, rising up to the occasion, and you'll take that any day. And Vancouver, I know we have questions about Vancouver's goaltending, obviously because of an injury. I have questions about Edmonton's goaltending just in general.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Vancouver didn't get off too many shots early, but they were able to score 3 quick goals in the first period.
Yep.
So it was something like that because they were able to bounce up to a 3-1 lead.
It was 3-1 at the end of the first.
Yeah. So if I'm Edmonton, you gotta maybe look for a goaltending change. I think they ended up changing midway through at some point. And Vancouver holding McDavid to no points yesterday, despite skating well over 25 plus minutes. Huge credit to Vancouver's defense, which has been phenomenal. And that's why they're up 3-1, taking advantage. But I think it's going to be a battle because even with all these things going Vancouver's way, they're winning by 1 goal. So it's just exciting, though, to see. But credit to Vancouver.
Yeah, this has been Edmonton's Achilles heel for really, I think, since they've started making the playoffs a few years ago, with McDavid and Draisaitl and all these goal scorers. But their goaltending has yet to hold up. I mean, a few years ago when they went to, I'm pretty sure it was the conference finals, they had I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He was like a 42-year-old goaltender who they had in net just because they were trying to get something to work. I mean, last night last night Skinner faced 15 shots and lets in 4 goals. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. Like, your defense is playing good enough to the point where they're not letting shots get through, but the ones that are getting through are going into the net. So
Yeah, Vancouver's just like that.
right. And then another thing with just Edmonton as well is you got to limit these end of the period goals because they're momentum killers and momentum shifters. There's 2 goals yesterday, one at the end of the first and one at the end of the second, where within the 3-minute mark you let in a goal, and that just sets a different tone for you going back into the locker room. It's like, even if you play well, you feel like that kills your momentum. You want to finish out periods playing your style hockey so that you can ride it into the next period, or if it's the third period, into the next game. And just when you give up a late goal like that, it just takes all that away. You just feel like you played like shit.
I agree. But yeah, it'll be interesting. How does Edmonton respond? Goalie change next game, most likely, in my opinion, because they already switched a midway out. But we'll see. It's still a great series, and we're looking forward to that pivotal game 4 as well back in Edmonton. A lot of great series so far where we're not getting many 3-0s, 4-0s once we've reached the second round in both the NBA and NHL playoffs. But with that being said, thank you guys all for listening. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.